Welcome in, guys. My name is Dr. Luis Ramirez. I'm a diagnostic trauma specialist here in the upstate New York area street. And for those of you guys who have been with me before, you guys know that we talk everything related to therapy and spirituality. The topic for today, which is the continuation of part two, as you guys remember from earlier, when I met with Michaela Mims from California, we were talking in regards to the topic of relationships. Okay. So then that was more so on the sense of relationships when it came to the concept of the professionalism. So having two professionals having this discussion and things of that nature, right? So then now for this one, what we're going to be doing is we're discussing this topic of relationships from a non-professional perspective. Where do you stand? Is it healthy or unhealthy? I want to hear what that looks like. So I have two very special guests today, and I'm going to start off with my first guest, Miss Katie Nelson. She is from Canada. I'm going to have her unmute herself for a quick second so she can go ahead and introduce herself, and then we'll get going with the next person after. Hi, Katie.
Hi there. I am Katie, and I'm just over 40 years old, and I live in the western part of Canada. And I met the wonderful Dr. Ramirez on those TT streets in another friend's lab. If you remember Michaela from the earlier live with Dr. Ramirez, and I've had wonderful discussions, and I look forward to getting into this with you.
So let me ask you real quick, Miss Katie, are you currently married? Are you single, divorced, widowed? What is it? What's your status for marital?
Right. Sorry. I am married in a poly relationship with the same man for the past almost 17 years.
All right. So keep in mind, guys, what she just said. So they are in a polyamorous relationship, okay,
Mhm.
which is a complete
And
different element compared to most other individuals. So can I ask you a personal question, real quick?
of
So
course,
how do you identify orientation wise within the relationship, and how does your husband identify within the relationship orientation wise?
like sexual orientation wise,
Correct.
uh, I can be found in the cupboard with all the other pans. And my husband's general philosophy is any hole's a goal.
Okay. There you heard it, guys. That
He's
part.
just happy to be there.
It's like, yeah. So, thank you for introducing yourself. And then I have down on the bottom here, Miss Mish. I'm going to have her real quick introduce herself, who she is, and where she lives.
Hi. I don't know if you noticed, you lost me for a minute. My phone died. I
I
just
did.
got back.
I did.
Okay. I'm Michelle or Meech. I live in Florida. I just missed Katie's introduction, so I feel
It's
really
okay.
terrible.
No, it's okay.
Um, I'm not sure what else to
So
share.
Katie discussed the fact that she's been married for 17 years. She is in a polyamorous relationship with her husband. Katie identifies as pan, and her husband identifies as any hole is a goal. That's what she said, word for
All
word.
right. I love
So
that.
she's been married for 17 years with this individual. So for you, Mish, are you currently single, widow, divorced, in a
I
relationship? What
am
does it look like for you?
I am newly single. Single just a few months. I would say it's long term for me, but short term for a lot of people. About 5 year relationship,
Hmm.
probably the longest I've been in, and it was amazing at first, but I would go ahead and say it was pretty abusive and toxic in the end. So
Okay.
I'm in my healing era, and
How long you been in the healing era right now?
healing era. It's been about 5 or 6 months now.
And have you been engaged in therapy in this healing process that you're going through right now?
Heavy on the therapy.
Amen
Heavy
to
on the
that, guys.
therapy and heavy on the on friend time, just being surrounded by friends. And I've been dipping my toes in the dating pool and quickly retrieving. every time.
Okay. Do you mind also sharing, if you don't mind, your age, if you're okay with that?
Yeah, I'm 42.
42 years old. Look at that. So you and Katie got something in common. You guys are around the same age. Uh,
Ah,
I'm the youngest baby up in this live right now.
you're the baby.
Uh, So thank you so much for both Katie and Mish for coming in and agreeing to be a part of this podcast today and discussing this topic of healthy or unhealthy relationships. So one of the things that I have been seeing a lot in the last few months, and all my conversations with my colleagues, with my patients and things like that, friends, is relationship. And as I've shared before, the two of you guys are aware, I myself am not exempt from what we have going on in life, right? Like life doesn't choose who goes through what. And I've been divorced proudly, proudly divorced for 3 years now. And in that time frame, I dated after healing and thought I met somebody that I thought was going to be the one, but that wasn't. But I'm happily in a very healthy relationship with my partner at this time. For those of you guys that don't know and can even tell, I am a proud gay man as well, but not here nor there. Um, but that transition, and literally, I'm 36 now, and in 6 years, what I faced between three different relationships in 6 years, right? Marriage, relationship that was like a rebound in a way, and then this new one that's a recommitted. The elements are so different, right? And learning to understand the signs of what is considered healthy and unhealthy is very crucial to a relationship. Okay. And I don't know about anybody else that may be listening or people who are on here right now, but I speak for myself when I say this. At my age and my stage, I don't have time for no games. Okay. I know I did not mean that for to rhyme, but I did. Uh, I don't have time for that. I feel like life is too short. We have seen that happening in the past few years through the pandemic that we've been through, the way that society is. Being alive right now is very difficult, and not only like life is lifing, but on top of that, then having to navigate these obstacles in a relationship is the most daunting and frustrating and just simply disgusting thing that a person can go through. Now, I'm being honest about that, right? Like we, we're being forced to work extra hours nowadays,
Mm.
more than the regular 8 hours at the time to be able to survive in society. Most of us are our own business owners, and people think that because you got your own business that things are all peachy keen, but they're not. It's worse, right? The last thing that I want to deal with when I get out of work is aside from cooking, 'cause I don't mind doing that, I don't wanna deal with no drama. I don't wanna deal with arguments. I don't wanna deal with the attitude. I don't wanna deal with the, "Oh, well, you didn't say this, or you didn't say that," or "Last week, 2 months ago, you said this to me." What? Right? Am I wrong?
You are
Let
so right.
let's let's pause real quick for some effect. We're gonna get serious. So, I'll ask Katie real quick about this, right? So, what, what, how will you classify, right, a healthy? Before we get into the unhealthy, what does a healthy relationship look like to you?
It looks like two consenting adults in a mutually supportive relationship where they want the best for each other and want to work on those goals together.
Okay, Mish, what do you, in your opinion, what would you classify a healthy relationship to look like?
Um, I would say healthy understanding of the way each other's psyche is, right?
Hmm.
Understanding. I mean, we all, like, let's be real, we all have some type of trauma. We all have some type of childhood trauma or past relationship trauma. By the time we're in our 30s or 40s, we've experienced something, and
Hmm.
it molds us to who we are and what our behaviors are. And if you're not with somebody who understands you and why you are who you are and what makes you you, it probably won't work. It won't work.
So, Katie, I'll ask you this question first. Do you have children, like biological children, or does your husband have children?
Neither of us have children, and I had my tubes removed to make sure it stays that way.
Mish, do you have children?
I do. I have a teenager who is graduating this week.
Oh,
Uh,
congratulations.
yes,
Hold on.
thank.
Let me
I
um
made it.
you made it, girl. So in your sense, um, as you've shared, obviously you were dating somebody and it's very easy to make the assumption that the person you were dating was not the father of the child. So in your case, it's what we like to call blended family. So for 5 years, you were engaged in a blended family situation. The person that you were with, please don't mention names. Um, did that person have children of his own?
He did not. He
Okay,
did.
so then he came
Did
into
want
your
them.
life. He came into your life.
Yes, he came into my life, and um, he came in strong. He came in really strong, like like
Can
big.
you explain what that means for the audience? Like when you say he came in strong, okay?
Um,
Can you please give us a little bit more content on what that looks like, please?
Confident in, kind of joining, I would say joining the family.
Hmm.
It wasn't an uncomfortable situation for him, and he made it, at first, not an uncomfortable situation for her. Very fun, very laid back. It wasn't like, hi, I'm your mom's boyfriend. It was,
Hmm.
it was a very fun atmosphere. So he came in strong.
And how long did that little honeymoon stage last? Because it sounds to me the way that you're explaining it in a
Mm.
tone of voice that it didn't last long.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, uh, yeah, it didn't end as well. Sometimes you feel like you can kind of trust somebody to be the head of your family, and things changed after a couple years, and you know, it it started being a little bit of an overstep, and communication started to fail, and that's, as you know, that's one of the most important parts, and
Mhm.
um, and things became, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, very abusive to both of us, unfortunately, and yeah, so.
Um, and without giving too many details, but here, in the Rise from Your Ashes,
Mm,
there's no filter, no barriers, because this is not TikTok, this is YouTube. We're different.
mm.
Um, the abuse that you're describing, was it emotional, physical, psychological, economical? Like, what was it like?
It was a whole trauma salad of all of it, and I'm an open book.
Trauma salad.
It is a
Let's
trauma.
pause for that for a
So there
second.
was there was a bag of, emotional. There was a little bag of physical, and a little bit of suspected sexual abuse.
Okay.
And
On your behalf.
I'm an open book. So I'll,
Okay.
just
Thank you for being
full
so open
disclosure.
and honest right now with that,
Yeah,
because people out there need to hear this kind of content. A
I
lot of
think.
people want to be high, like
Yeah.
what's politically correct or anything like that. So I appreciate the fact that you're being so transparent about the aspect of sexual abuse itself, not just the physical, emotional, physical, economic version of things.
Mm,
I also like the fact that you called it a trauma salad.
mm,
Um, all ingredients were involved.
all
So
ingredients.
before you continue, I'm going to ask Katie real quick if she can rebuttal and kind of like give some feedback or some words of inspiration or encouragement based on what you're saying right now. Katie, if you don't mind.
The first thing that came to mind was congratulations on getting out. It's hard. And the fact that you have even tried dating again already, I'm kind of in awe of you, because I don't know how long I would withdraw after going through what you went through. So like, you are courageous and strong.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
That's definitely something that I was also thinking about when talking just now, because I wasn't expecting for that to be said, to be honest.
I'm sorry.
So like, congratulations to you about that. That's
Thank you.
huge. Okay, like that's huge. And I give you also a lot of credit for being super brave right now in what you're saying. Okay, because like I said, many people don't share this.
Yeah.
And like, you started off by talking about how it seemed healthy. You
Yeah.
talked about what you perceive as a healthy relationship.
Mm.
And you talked about how it seemed, for those who are listening, real quick, seemed
I missed a
What?
lot of red flags.
as healthy. And it was,
Yeah.
so if you don't mind sharing a little bit more, because I can see where this is going, okay? So um, it sounds to me as if you may have had maybe some blinders, okay,
Rose-colored glasses, for
in the
sure.
beginning. Do you feel that that came from from like previous past relationships and things that you may have faced?
Um.
And like, at the age of like, at the stage of the game, because at that time you would have been 37,
Mhm.
about ish, right? Been through stuff, already have a teenage daughter, been married, been divorced, and stuff like that. Where did these like rose colored glasses come from for you? Because you
Um.
seem like a very strong individual. Like, I look at you, and not for nothing, but when I look at you, I think of Sharon Doherty, and I think of Prue from Charmed. Like,
Oh,
you
I'm
remind
thinking
me of her right now. Like, the look you
Brenda
got. Like,
Walsh.
Katie, do you agree?
I
That
dated
Sharon
myself.
Doherty, Prue Halliwell look from Charm in the '90s, a little bit
You're
like
not
that whole
wrong.
like she gives me that vibe. Like, also like Sandra Bullock from like all the movies that she's done. Like, I get that vibe. Like, very strong, confident
Mm,
individual woman. And then here you are saying, I
mm.
became a victim because
I
of the way
did.
that I viewed the situation coming in. Can you talk about that a little bit? If you don't mind.
Yeah. So yeah, the rose-colored glasses. So there's a few different pieces of the puzzle that I try to put together. So we met during COVID. And I mean,
Mm,
we were, everybody, we were like very isolated, and dating was not dating. Dating was come on over, let's hang out. And, everything, I feel like for a lot of people moved really, really fast. Um, and that's how we moved. It moved faster than it probably should have, and we moved in quick, and you know, we turned into a quote unquote family. Um, it was very fast. It was really
mhm,
fast, and yeah, so I think that played a really big part in it. But he
mhm,
came along, and he gave me experiences that I always wanted to do, and I never had the opportunity to. So, for example, I hunt and I fish, and um, you know, I've never really had like the opportunity to go on these trips and do all that stuff. And he came along, like a knight on a horse, and made those things happen for me. And it seemed like that was my best friend in the world until he wasn't. So, um,
and then, what was the last straw? Or like, before we get there, when did you finally start to realize that it was unhealthy?
um, hmm, um, I feel like I realized early on there was some incidents of there was definitely some red flags, and I realized it, and I didn't want to believe it. One income, two income households, that was a big pressure to stay with somebody. Um, the kind of the households, two parents and a kid, as opposed to just me and my daughter, which it had been that way for years. All of these things kind of kept me there, but those red flags, they were early, and I ignored them. I did. Um, so it's hard to pinpoint. It's hard to pinpoint.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Again, I'm
And
an
then
open book.
how hard was it for you to get out?
That was the hardest thing I've ever gone through. It was. He was pretty aggressive. So, long story short, big guy, physically big. He had a very big presence, outspoken, always right. And, kind of your typical narcissist. I think if you open the textbook and read exactly, what a narcissist is, checks every box and certainly diagnosable. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so, um, yeah, it was the hardest thing I've ever been through. It was scary to stand up for him, and I I stood up to
You
him,
said you said to stand up to him or stand up
to
for him.
sorry, to him. So
Okay.
standing up to him was really scary. For anybody, his friends and family, even. But something pretty intense and concerning happened. I stood up to him, and I took a physical beating like I've never had before. And um, I'm so glad that I did. It's, I had some significant injuries and, PTSD, and I'm healing, like I said, but I regret nothing about that night because we're free.
It
Me and
was
my,
the wake up call you needed.
me and my daughter are free. It was the only way that I would have the cojones to get out of there.
I like that she said cojones, guys. So, Katie, what do you got to say to that?
Oh goodness, I was just sitting here thinking thinking about a way zoomed out view of what happened to you in terms of uh, he love bombed you, by the way. Don't blame yourself for
Mm,
falling for it. Okay, that was love bombing, straight up. Um, it was during a very unstable time where everybody felt a lot of instability, and he showed you not only he had adequate access to resources, but he also gave you so much dopamine and serotonin, so much. And it's
yeah,
very easy for your brain to go, ooh, I like that. Let's keep that. We're going to
correct.
ignore the other stuff because we want that. Brains are weird and stupid. But we watching that happen, and um, this is one of the things that really bothers me about um, the whole love bombing and that kind of thing is it's so based in financial resources or consumerism or material things that their relationships with other people are not being examined first.
Mm,
How does he treat other people? What's his relationship with his family like? How does he talk to his friends? How does he interact with strangers? And one of the most important ones, how does he treat serving staff?
yes.
Yeah. So
Big
then
one.
that brings us, guys, to the topic of when it comes to the aspect of the acronym that I used earlier today that I created for my second book. Yes, The Arsonist Within the Relationship, You and Me, coming out September of this year, 2026, on Amazon.com. Um, but the acronym that I created was SMOKE, SMOKE. Okay. understanding the way that we tend to prepare for a fire when we have drills. We gotta make sure that the smoke detector alarms have new batteries, that they're not beeping, right? We gotta check that off periodically. In schools, you see, and in jobs, they do random tests to make sure that people understand what a drill looks like, that procedure, right? The same thing comes when it comes to our emotional awareness and when it comes to the way that we are to perceive situations in our lives, okay? Smoke, sensation, motive, observation, key event or key element, and expression, how we express ourselves, right? All those things come into play in a relationship, not just for communication, but to be able to identify, because smoke is silent and deadly. The white smoke that starts to emanate when a fire starts is what the smoke detector is supposed to detect. If you took the battery off because you didn't want to hear the beeping when you were cooking, or you didn't check the battery, that white smoke that's coming up like this is not going to activate the alarm. By the time that you smell it, it's already dark, black, thick, and there's already a flame going, and it's pretty bad. By then, it's too late. And you might, not all the way, I'll say 99% too late. You might have hope to get out of that fire alive. The same thing happens. Not only we got to check our smoke detectors, we got to check our extinguishers too. As you people may know on here, extinguishers are very specific for specific fires. Okay? You don't want to use a water-based extinguisher on a grease fire. Because what's going to happen? You go like this in your kitchen and take out your eyebrows and your fabulous weave. Okay? So that's the problem that we have in relationships, that we are not checking our emotional smoke detector. And women, listen to me. You have the best internal smoke alarm detection system ever. It's called your intuition. Okay? I learned it from my mama.
Have you ever been to somebody's house where it just chirps and
Yeah.
they never change that battery?
Oh, no. I've been there, and you know what I do? I say, do you have a chair or a step ladder? And I will change the battery for them.
Mine's definitely been chirping for a while. So
Yeah. Get
I
a
like
new
the
one.
analogy. I like it.
The same way that it was chirping in your relationship,
Mm.
and it ended up landing you to have to physically fight out of there. That was a fire. Your house burned down. Because what happened to you, Mish? You had to move, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Your house was burned down. So the same way that you did it, that happened to you, girl, change it. Please check those batteries, please.
Yes.
Okay.
Full
So,
maintenance mode.
Katie, what else you got for this before we start to wrap up? I appreciate you guys for coming in today. You guys are so awesome.
Thank you so much for having us. Oh my goodness.
You should be privileged.
Well,
Okay,
oh my gosh, I do.
stop it.
Let's see. I think most of us, most of us, humans are social beings. We are all desperately seeking connection, not necessarily romantic, but connection with other humans.
Mm.
And current society and structures that we live under have managed to disconnect us so effectively, and also provide so many distractions that it's hard to focus enough to know what to do or even where to start.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it takes a moment to step back and go, okay, what do I really value here? What do I actually want out of this?
Mm-hmm.
And find out if the person that you are interested in also find out what they're building. And I don't mean necessarily construction. What are they building in their life?
Mm-hmm. Amen to that. Mish, how do you feel about all that you shared and what's being offered and the conversation right now before we start to end?
Well, I feel like I took up a ton of the time.
No,
So,
stop it. We don't do that
so
here.
I hope you have myself and Katie both back on the show soon because I want to hear a little bit more from Katie as well. Um,
Oh, this
and
happens 6 times a week, so don't you
yeah,
worry.
and that I mean, it comes into play with what you were saying with human connection, and um, it's it's important, human connection. And sometimes, in retrospect, I look at my situation and, if that man could have been a great friend,
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't supposed to be a relationship. I think, that it excelled, and I ignored, like you said, with, the smoke detectors and everything, you know, and I love that you shared that because that's actually resonating, just the whole analogy to me. And I really like that. I like
You're
that. And
welcome.
also,
You're
I appreciate
welcome.
you letting me be vulnerable and share that story.
Of
It was
course,
big. It
and that's what we're here for.
was big.
And I appreciate you being so open and transparent. And this is what we wanted to bring about. This is what Rising from Our Ashes podcast is all about. We talk about everything mental health and everything spiritual and how we as humans are connected and we need to continue to grow. And I feel that also bringing these stories to the forefront and having these conversations that nobody else wants to be having
Mm.
is important because no other podcast around here wants to have these conversations because they're afraid of like, oh, well, am I going to have followers? Or am I going to have people listening or this and that? I don't care if only two people hear this, then two people are saved. All right. Because life is not rainbows at all. Life is an abyss full of shit. I'll be honest about that. Okay.
Oh.
Straight up. And it fucking sucks. All
Oh.
right. Yep. That's exactly how I feel.
Yes.
I've been doing this for a very long time, helping people, working with individuals, and
Yeah.
like no, it's not. Especially in 2026 right now, this is not. This is not the time for us to be sitting here and like trying to mince and dismiss and diminish our feelings and thoughts and situations. Because, honey, if our president is not willing to sit there and fucking shut the fuck up and not say what he shouldn't be saying out of his damn mouth, I'm not shutting up either. Okay? Because I am just much right to say what I'm gonna say, especially if it's gonna heal and save somebody else's life. Okay? Because
Yeah.
people out there right now on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, you name it, doing all these dumb shit, talking about like putting people down to bring themselves up, to make money and
Mm.
stuff like that. I'll say what I gotta say, and we'll say, all of us collectively, we'll say what we gotta say if it's gonna save a life.
Amen.
Because I'm done with hiding behind the appropriateness of political correctness or capitalism. Don't say this because society doesn't want you to say that. Honey, no. Because you know what? People have been trying to shut me up for a long time as a black, Hispanic, gay man. And we're not doing that no more either. All right. So thank you so much for the two of you guys for coming up today. And for those of you guys that are listening, please comment on the comments later on today. If you guys are listening and stuff, if you want Katie and Mish back, please leave down in the comments hashtag bring Katie and Mish back. Again, that's hashtag bring Katie and Mish back. You guys did it with the other two people that I had already. So please please take the time, okay, to reflect on what's being shared. And we are offering you guys a safe space to come in, share about what you got going on, talk about these feelings that nobody else wants to listen to. And remember, at Rising from Your Own Ashes, we do not, I repeat, we do not apologize for our thoughts or our feelings. And with that being said, I hope that you all have a wonderful night. Thank you for coming in today, and I will see you guys in our next segment. Thank you so much. Bye, guys. Mwah.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.